Good afternoon. My name is Funfere Koroye. That's Funfere. So I'm probably one of the most or the least achieved person in this whole TED Talk, but I'm still grateful to be here. So the theme of this TED Talk is breaking out of the box, and pretty much my whole life has been about breaking the box and trying to be different, sometimes to the disservice of my parents and their upbringing. So if some of you can see, I'm tattooed from finger all the way to my chest, and I grew up in a Christian home where tattoos is pretty much frowned upon. And when I went to my job interview for De Wasserman College, I made sure I wore a short sleeve shirt so that everybody would know that this is who they were planning to hire. Surprisingly, I got the job. But at the same time, unsurprisingly, I knew I was the best person for the role. But the issue we have in Nigeria is that people have criteria for what they think a successful person should look like and what a successful person should act like. And that's something we have to start changing. Why can't someone who's tattooed from head to toe be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer? Why do they always have to be musicians? Every time I'm in the airport, people always ask me, are you Davido's brother? Are you Wizkid's brother? And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. Everyone just assumes I'm in the entertainment industry. So, okay, I do not know how to work this. So anyways, the theme of my breaking out of the box is, okay. The theme of my breaking out of the box is copy, paste, recycle. What do I mean by copy, paste, recycle? The only way we can change the perception of how we are as Nigerians is to do these three things, and I'm going to explain that as I go along in this talk. So like I was introduced earlier, this is what I do for a living. This is what I've been trying to do for a living, actually, let me put it like that, because I have not successfully done it yet. I'm a product developer, innovation consultant, industrial designer, and design technologist. So some of the work I've been involved with in the past for personal projects include all these genres listed. So I've designed automobiles, I've designed bags, shoes, I've designed all kinds of things. And that's what I went to school for. I went to school for industrial design. Essentially, it lets you design as much as possible and expand your mind to know as much as possible. So my journey into industrial design has taken me to a lot of different countries. One of the most exciting places I've been in was China. I lived in China for a year, and I think if we talk about people who need to be respected in this modern day and age, it's the Chinese, because they've pretty much changed the way people used to look at them. Until this day, even Nigerians probably still say, oh, made in China is probably the worst thing on earth. But I bet you almost half the people in this room own something from Apple, and Apple is solely made in China. And I'm sure everyone here has owned something from Nike, and Nike is solely made in China. So how did the Chinese get to this point where they broke that image of things made in China are bad? And the only way they did that was by copying, pasting, and recycling. So who did they copy? The Chinese copied the Japanese and the Americans. At a point in time, the Americans used to lead in manufacturing. In fact, everything that was American was made in the United States at a point in time. But the Chinese came out of nowhere and beat them to that. So for me, when I think about ideas, I think about how can I take something that already exists and apply it to my current surroundings. This is one of the ideas I came up with when I was still in university, was a playground that produced energy. As crazy as the idea sounds, it exists in many places in the world. And I think that if we want to break the box, we shouldn't focus too much on how can we be completely different from someone else halfway around the world. We just need to apply what already exists to what is in our surroundings. So to solve a problem, you don't have to think too far. You just kind of have to copy someone else. And there's nothing really that's original anymore. Everything is just a copy of something else, but it's made better. A car is a car, no matter how you look at it. But the better car is the one that copies, but does it better. So copying is not a bad idea. And that's something we need to learn how to do properly. I'll give you an example. Oreos, Noreos. I'm sure everybody knows what Noreos are. I think it's one of the tackiest things I've ever seen in my life. If you are going to copy a biscuit brand, why not just make up your own? Why not just come up with your own original brand idea? Chocolate biscuits is going to taste. But why do we have to do this? That's something that we need to understand. If you're trying to come out of... So if you're trying to come out of the box, you're trying to come up with your own ideas, yeah, copy, but copy sensibly. So I think these are, for me, the 5 steps for getting a product off the ground properly. And this is a company I started with some creatives very recently in Nigeria. And this is how we come at our clients when we want to tell them how they need to change. We tell them straight off the bat that their company is horrible. And I think that's something enough people don't do in Nigeria, is we like to massage people's egos. Because we want someone's contract, we're nice to them. I don't know how to be nice to people. Maybe that's why I'm not so successful. When I approach a client, I tell them to their face that their product is awful. But then I break down how they need to change. And if you don't almost destroy the box, you can't get out of it. There is no easy way to come out of a box. You have to almost destroy it. In fact, you have to destroy it. And you have to completely break it down, then build it back up again. At the moment, these are the 2 clients I have that are paying me. I've had a few in the past that decided they weren't going to pay me, maybe because I was rude or maybe because I was too expensive. One of them is a footwear brand in Australia, and the other one is a chocolate company here in Lagos. And how did I get these clients? By telling them the truth. Like I said, I told them their brand was awful and they needed to do better. And why did they believe me? Because they could see it for themselves and they wanted to change. So this is one of the products I'm developing for the footwear company. And how we got here was a series of ideas, a series of back and forth, a process. And breaking out of the box is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. You can't just jump from idea to product in a matter of days. You see a lot of that in the shelves, in ShopRite, in any supermarket you go to. You see ideas that almost came up overnight. A lot of people just say, it's water, just drink it as it is. So they just put any nonsense bottle in front of your face. But what separates a good brand from a bad brand is understanding that if you're going to put a product out there, you have to properly develop it. And that's one of the things I am attempting to do since I've been back in Nigeria, is understanding that people need better. And as much as my approach to these clients is a bit abrasive, I believe that the only way we can break the stereotype of a terribly made product coming from Nigeria is by starting the whole thing from scratch. I don't think there's ever a time I've been abroad in a country and I've seen a Nigerian product in a shelf somewhere, in Tesco or in Walmart. I mean, it's impossible. If someone has seen it, they should let me know. And the reason for that is our products suck. Even the so-called richest man in Africa makes terrible, terrible products. And I do not know how he's getting all this money. It's beyond me. You cannot become wealthy by terrible products. Only in Nigeria, apparently, that these things happen. And I mean, you can see for yourself. If you go to the supermarket and you have two choices of noodles, I bet you will not buy Dangote noodles. You will buy Indomie. Indomie is better packaged. And Indomie has a long history of understanding their brand identity and understanding the people that they're selling the product to. So why and what is the DNA of breaking out of the box when you're a brand? It's understanding your market, knowing that your product must be good, and speaking to your customer. And these are the three things that need to happen and must happen if we want to move forward and break out the box. So like I said, what are the benefits of copying an idea in this current market is understanding that yes, there's a risk, but there are also many gaps that need to be filled in the Nigerian industry. I mean, I just have to say this. I know Jovago is probably a sponsor in this, but how can a white be in a travel agency for? I mean, we should be ashamed of ourselves. And I mean, some people might think that I'm a bit rude, but the truth is, we know we travel a lot, but it took a foreigner to come to our country and then create the system for us. Why didn't nobody else think of this? Everybody goes to Harvard Business School, people go to law school, people go to Oxford, Cambridge, but nobody ever comes up with anything original anymore. And that's because nobody wants to break the box. Absolutely nobody. Very few people try, and very few people succeed. And the reason is because nobody wants to copy. I mean, we all know Priceline negotiating. We all know the companies that do all the good stuff abroad. But when we come to Nigeria, it's like nobody's brains click anymore. No one says to themselves, let's paste this idea here. Let's build the team that can make it happen. And I don't know the reason for that. I can't really explain it, but it's time we started. It's time we made our own Apple, our own Facebook, our own Nikes. We just have to copy, paste, and then make it work for us by recycling the idea. That's the only way we can break the box properly. Like I said before, you've never seen a Nigerian product internationally, and if you do see it, it's a piece of shit. If you see Gary packaged maybe in Italy, it's nonsense. If you see any peppers or any yam, anything that we eat and we love, it's either rotten or it's badly made. And the reason is because we just don't look to the left of us and see, okay, this is an Italian brand that makes pasta. How is their pasta packaged? They make tomato sauce. How is their tomato sauce packaged? Just copy it. It's really not that difficult. But when you copy, you have to understand how to bring it back to your own identity. Till this day and age, I can hardly say that I see a Nigerian brand that's innovative. I mean a Nigerian brand started by a Nigerian. There are hardly any. We have tasty fried chicken, yet KFC has come in the last 2 years and completely taken their market from them. How did that happen? Because tasty fried chicken was too comfortable just being another Nigerian brand. Turn on the TV and you see the McDonald's ads, you see the KFC ads. Why can't you meet that standard? And because maybe Nigerians don't ask for more, these brands feel they don't have to do anything. Chicken Republic changed their identity from 0 to 100 when they saw that KFC had moved right next to them. And the reason for that is that Nigerians, we don't understand how to appropriate our own ideas. This is an idea that I came up with very recently for a sportswear brand that appropriated this Ankara we love so much. And the thing is that if we don't stop making excuses, we cannot move forward. If we don't understand our own culture and how to make it into a product, we can't break out the box. This is just a very long list of black inventors over the last 200 years. Some of the products on here are not original. Some of them are original. The point is that when you invent something, you don't have to think about something that no one has thought about before. You just have to make the idea better. And there are many principles to good design. This is by Dieter Rams. And if your brand or your ideology doesn't meet these principles, then you've done absolutely nothing. You're just stagnant. You have not broken out of any boxes. And if you look at these brands I've listed on here, I think these are the only brands right now presently in this country that are actually trying to do something different. And GT Bank is probably the only Nigerian company on there. And if you go to GT Bank, you don't go there because the accountants are great. You don't know the accountants. You go there because from the outside, you see that they've tried. From the outside, you see that they want to be different. There are too many avenues in Nigeria for us to break out the box, and we just need to start by understanding how our Western counterparts are doing it and how we can become better. Basically, before I end this talk, I would just like to say that we need to start more startups in Nigeria. We need to come up with more new ideas instead of just appropriating old ones. I'm tired of seeing people building clubs and restaurants and the same stupid, shitty record companies. People need to start doing different things. If we can't do different things, then we're not going to move forward as a country. The future of our ideas is by understanding that we need to be a global country. We need to spread our words to all over the world. We can't just say because we're Nigerians, only Nigerians use our products. You eat Pringles, but that was a white man's idea that he made for his people. He didn't know that one day Nigerian people somewhere in this African zone would be eating this thing. So you have to think about, if we're going to make Chin Chin global, we have to make it for everybody. Asian, white, black, yellow, purple. And if we don't do that, we're never going to mature as a country. We're going to have saturated ideologies. I mean, I'm tired of meeting people who are all doing the same thing. I mean, someone needs to do something different. I want a day where a Nigerian says, I want to skateboard for a living, or I want to skydive for a living. Why is it not possible? And the reason is because nobody wants to break the box. Thank you.